So you're going on a business trip to Berlin next week, and how much free time roughly do you have? One day, I see. Well, in that case, if you're looking for a private history focused tour, I have the perfect tour guide for you. Birchies Berlin Tours. Here is Aaron to start your tour. Hello there. Welcome to ASMR Travel. How can I help you today? I see. So you're going on a business trip to Berlin next week. That's amazing. Have you ever been before? Yes, it's a wonderful city full of culture, history, art, wonderful friendly people, and amazing food too. So would you require us to book your flights and accommodation? I see. Your employer is covering those. So you're just looking at booking a tour so you can see the most of Berlin and what it has to offer. I understand. Whenever I go to a new city, I always try to plan some sightseeing so I can truly immerse myself in the atmosphere and the culture and get to know its people a little bit better. So can I ask how long you are staying in Berlin? And how much free time roughly do you have? One day, I see. So that's a little bit of a tight time frame. However, you can see so much in a day. Berlin is quite an accessible city. It has some great transport and everything is kind of in walking distance from each other, so that's not a problem. Now, are you looking at doing a group tour with other people or a private tour by yourself? Well, private tours and group tours, the itinerary is relatively similar. However, I always favour a private tour because you have that one-on-one with the tour guide and it can be custom made and tailored to your own personal tastes. For instance, if you love history, then the tour guide can tailor the tour and the sites to incorporate all historical facts about the area, which is truly fascinating. Or if you're more of a foodie kind of person, the tour can incorporate more food orientated sites as well as the main sites. Whereas in a group scenario, in a group setting, it's kind of more generic. It's a little less detailed, but you have that kind of group atmosphere which is quite nice, and you get to know people and chat to like-minded individuals. But me personally, I like all the attention to myself. Alright, so you're more leaning towards a private tour, I see. So are you interested in making this more about history, food, art? What are your interests? history, fellow history nerd. Well, in that case, if you're looking for a private history focused tour, I have the perfect tour guide for you. So, the company is called Birchies Berlin Tours, and you say that you only have roughly a day. I see. So in that case then, I would recommend this tour. Private Berlin in a Day History Tour with Expert Guide. So, this is a quite intense tour. It starts roughly around 10 o'clock in the morning and finishes roughly around 4 o'clock, although the times will depend on the time of the year as it does get dark, obviously, sooner in the winter months than it does in the summer months. So, this tour has been put together by expert guides who not only know Berlin inside out, but also know its history inside out too. So you'll be visiting all of the major landmarks, all of the major points of interest, and plus seeing some that may not be on a typical tourist guide. You'll also have time to stop for some amazing, yummy Berlin food as well, like currywurst and glühwein, which are my personal favourites. And of course, you'll be free to stop whenever you like, ask questions, maybe visit inside some of these places. This tour is all tailored to you. So if you want to stop anywhere, you can. If you want to look further into a particular place, you can. And if there's something that, or somewhere that you really want to visit, then you can too. So, let me get the itinerary for you. So, the Berlin in a Day highlights include the Brandenburg Gate, the Reichstag, the Memorial to the Murdered Jews of Europe, the Third Reich historical sites, the Tiergarten, the Soviet War Memorial, the Berlin Wall, Guard Towers and Cold War Berlin, Checkpoint Charlie, Unter den Linden, the Memorial to Victims of War and Dictatorship, the Humboldt University, Bibelplatz, Museum Island, Alexanderplatz and TV Tower, and a whole lot more. Like I say, these are all the main areas of interest, but there will be little tiny details along the way that aren't on this list. And your tour guide will show you also how to get around Berlin, because sometimes that can be quite intimidating, especially if you are not familiar with the area or the language, but your tour guide will help you navigate all the public transport. And like I say, Berlin is quite accessible on foot as well, so you'll get your bearings pretty quickly. So, again, the tour starts around 10 o'clock and you will actually be picked up right outside your hotel too, so you don't need to worry about finding a rendezvous point. If you're local and central to Berlin, then your tour guide will come and meet you. Okay, do you think that will cover everything that you're looking to visit on the tour? That's perfect. So would you like me to go ahead and book that in for you? Wonderful. So it will just be yourself, correct? And you said you're looking at February the 4th. Now what time would you like the tour to start? We have various different times in increments of half an hour. So we have 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30. Yes, I would agree that earlier is better, especially at this time of the year when the days are a little bit shorter, so a little less daylight. Alright. And what hotel were you staying in? That's perfect. And can I take your first and last name, please? Excuse me. And your email address. Yes. Yes. Perfect. Alright. So, if you can just pop your card into the card reader there. So, confirm that on there. That's perfect. Thank you so much. Perfect. So that has all gone through for you, and you should receive an email confirmation in the next couple of minutes. So I wish you all the best in Berlin, and I hope you have a brilliant time on the tour as well. Yes, it's been lovely to meet you. Take care and enjoy your tour. Here is Aaron to start your tour. First we stroll across the Moltke Bridge, crossing the River Spree near the central train station. It's incredible to think that it took the Soviets all night to cross this bridge on the 28th of April 1945, as they were assaulting the Reichstag towards the culmination of the Battle of Berlin. Here we have the Reichstag, the German Parliament building which was finished in 1894. It was also the site of the Reichstag fire on the 27th of February 1933 that led to the implementation of the Reichstag fire decree and began the Nazi suppression of political opponents. The building was not used for political purposes until after East and West Germany reunified in October 1990. The renovation was designed by the architect Sir Norman Foster and crowned with the now famous glass dome. This was finished in 1999. This is the first of many memorials to be found in Berlin. This one is to the 96 politicians from the Reichstag that were murdered by the Nazis. Installed in 1992, each upright plate represents an individual. You have their name, year of birth, year of death, place of death, and their political party. We now take a little stroll through the Tiergarten to the Soviet Memorial. This is not only a memorial, but also a war cemetery containing around 2,000 Soviet soldiers. The memorial was inaugurated on the 11th of November 1945. The masonry was taken from Hitler's ministry building and is the only Soviet memorial in Berlin located in what was to become West Berlin. Here we see a line of cobbles which marks the location of the Berlin Wall, and we are just about to cross into former East Berlin. The Brandenburg Gate, built in the late 18th century, used to stand at the westernmost part of the city leading to the Tiergarten, which was formerly the Royal Hunting Park. The statue on top is called the Quadriga and shows the goddess Victoria or Victory sweeping into the city atop her chariot. The gate has witnessed most of the key historical events within the city's history and came to symbolize not just the division of the city, but of the country as a whole post-war. We now come to the memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe. Built on what former vacant land occupied by the Berlin Wall and its death strip, it is the largest of all the memorials in the district of Mitte and was completed in 2005. Below ground there is a documentation centre, but the main memorial is composed of 2,711 concrete blocks, a unique and haunting memorial. Now for a quick pit stop for a cheeky glühwein or mulled wine at Johnny's Bar. Now this is a pretty oppressive building even with the Christmas decorations. This is now the German Finance Ministry, but when it was finished in 1936, it was the headquarters of the German Military Air Force, the Luftwaffe. It was the largest office building in Europe when completed with over 2,100 rooms. Here we have some East German artwork on the side of the Finance Ministry, showing the socialist utopia. One way to get fantastic views of Berlin is to go up on this tethered balloon, as long as the weather conditions allow. This is one of the surviving sections of the Berlin Wall, probably the most defining symbol of the Cold War. It stood politically from the 13th of August 1961 up until the 9th of November 1989. Here you can still see the damage from the fighting in Berlin between the Soviets and the Nazis, as illustrated by the many bullet holes on the facade of the Gropiusbau. Now for a quick lunch stop to try Berlin's famous currywurst. Here we see a very festive Checkpoint Charlie, the most famous of all the checkpoints in Berlin. This led from East Berlin into the American zone of occupation in the west. This was reserved for Western officials, diplomats, military, as well as tourists. A true geopolitical fault line, and also incredible escapes to the west. These are Stolpersteine, or stumbling stones on Friedrichstrasse. These have been laid in Berlin since 1996, and commemorate the last known residence or workplace of victims of the Holocaust. Now for a quick stop at the famous Rausch Chocolatiers, just in case you need a sugar hit. A quick stop at the Gendarmenmarkt for a flavour of how Berlin looked in the 18th century with the French and German cathedrals. Bibelplatz, another fantastic ensemble of mainly 18th century buildings, built originally during the reign of Frederick the Great. This is also the site of the most infamous of the Nazi book burnings on the 10th of May 1933. Here we have the memorial to the victims of war and tyranny. It was originally a guardhouse built in 1818, and it went through many iterations as a memorial during the 20th century until its current form in 1992. The focal point here is the enlarged version of Kathy Kollwitz's mother and her dead son. And now we visit Museum Island, the Altiers Museum, the first museum built in the city, and the Berliner Dom, the main cathedral. And now, before the light fades, we take a quick trip to the Berlin Wall Memorial, the national memorial to the Berlin Wall and the only place with a preserved and partially reconstructed cross-section of the Berlin Wall and death strip. There were many incredible escapes and tragic failures just along this stretch of the Berlin Wall. We hope that you have enjoyed your tour with Birchy's Berlin Tours, and we hope to see you again very soon. Bye bye.